It's this.
The agent.
Exactly.
The future agent. Honestly, it was the scripts. I read the first 3 scripts, and I'd grown up loving The Day of the Jackal, the original movie from the 70s. And it was untouchable as far as I was concerned. But so I sort of opened the scripts with trepidation and a bit of intrigue. And when I started reading it, because it was set now rather than in the 60s, it felt like a completely different beast, but it retained this DNA from the original that was about, in this genre, the Jackal's kind of unique. He's a dandy. He kind of loves his clothes. He loves changing the way he looks, what languages he speaks, the way he interacts in the world. And he's a bit of an actor, really. And I thought the idea of playing an actor assassin was intriguing.
It was really nice to revisit stunts after I said I would not do stunts for a while. I quite literally said, give my body a break, I'm not going to do that. And then you read some scripts sometimes and you're just like, there's just no way that I couldn't gravitate towards this. There's no way that you have like a pull towards me now, having done so many stunts. When I read a stunt on the page, I see the character, I see how they approach their weaponry or their occupation. And my approach to this was, at the beginning, through my body. We met kind of through the gym, and it was, quite intense at the beginning, because it was more, I think I did like 6 days a week, just like banging out the gym and like trying to watch as many things that created Bianca's physical style. But then after that, unbeknownst to me, I would just throw that away and get more into the psychology of who Bianca is, what she represents, and what I felt I connected with her most on, which was her background. She comes from literally around the corner from where I grew up as a child in London, and I recognized a lot of how she gravitates towards the need for that crunchy, icky part in your work, where you just like want to be a part of it all the time and you're a little bit obsessed with it. She ran with that completely. She's a 10 out of 10 when it comes to height of it, of obsession. Yeah, full on commitment.
First action. So I feel like, I suppose there was a bit of action-y stuff, but that involved ones in Fantastic Beasts. It was, and we were both put through quite grueling regimen. We worked with an espionage specialist consultant. We did some gun work. I went to this amazing rifle range outside of London called Bisley and shot these sniper rifles over 2-3 kilometers. But that stuff is all the fun stuff. That's kind of like one of the joys of doing our job, is you play a sniper or an assassin, and you get to learn all this kind of weird, hopefully useless in your day-to-day life stuff. Yeah, the freckle. That, by the way, is my code name in China. Do you know about this? That in China, I went to do press in China once, and the journalist said, Eddie, do you know that in China, everyone gives you a nickname? And I was like, I don't know this. They said, yeah, so for example, Benedict Cumberbatch is something to do with an otter. And I was like, okay, is this a complimentary title? And they were like, yes. And then they said, I was like, well, what's mine? And they said, Little Freckle. Little Freckle is my...
the way that I want to respond to that.
So that would be... Little Freckle would be my double R club.
Okay, I would say that I would go even more obscure and do like what Prince did and have a symbol. You can only see it, but you can't say it. Yeah.
What is the symbol?
It's that. It's this.
The agent.
Exactly.
The future agent.
Imagine like
it's going to be a franchise.
Unscrabble it and it's like burger or something. It's just something really useless. I think me learning that every single action role has to be different and match that character has definitely determined how I approached her physical style. I think I wanted her to have a flair like how I approached Nomi in No Time to Die, in that I didn't want everything to be slick and like have it together all the time. I didn't want her to feel like she had the physical answer to something, but I wanted to see that she was finding things on the fly, whereas previous characters have everything so set, you just know they're gonna get it right. I wanted audiences to be worried that she might get it wrong. Did you know that Eddie does not have an interest in playing Bond? I think he would be perfect, but if you don't want to, it's never going to be a good time for you.
I feel like I'm too old, and I'm not like Bond is such a sort of. I just don't want to see myself in. I want to go to those movies
and experience.
I have
it.
like a very specific group of actors that I would like to see play Bond, but I don't want. It's not. Do you know what I mean? And I also watch that. Like you can see that. I've never spoken to Daniel about it, but you can see that it has a real cost on your like expectations. And always what I've always loved about the Jackal is he has such a unique quality to him. He has this kind of like shape-shifting, slightly flaneur, kind of dandy, peacocking quality that within the genre it's quite specific. You know what I mean? But it doesn't come. It comes with a lot of. The film was hugely successful, and the book, of course, is cycle, but it doesn't come with quite the same.
Like history.
Baggage.
Yes. The franchise has been so upheld by the ever-changing Bonds that we experience, and that means that there's just so much. There's so much in that choice. Yeah. There's just so much around it. Whereas here, you get to play and you can pay homage to the original IP. You can create something different. You can bring in new fans. I think it's a different, more open experience knowing that there's originals that would take that and then you watched it separately, opposed to marking it as like the event of Eddie Redmayne playing the next one. Well, I thought it would going into MI6 because naturally you have a character walking into MI6, but then the set is so completely different. Like the MI6 in No Time to Die was a little more classic. Like M's office is like has like traditional like leather seating and like very 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 sophisticated and like and smooth. And I had a really good feeling in there. Whereas our MI6 has a little more of a serious, clinical, I don't know, deep
and character. Like it was almost like more of an office space.
Exactly, yeah, an office space. And the colours were so different. This had a deep green, which I actually must applaud and thank Brian Kirk, our first block director, for sharing with me that the deep green not only reflects the kinds of green that you would see in and around the MI6 building in London, that also reflects off of black skin really well. And I loved the conversation that we had about how your environment and the colour palette that you use really lends itself to taking care of the different types of cast members that you get in shows like this. So yeah, very, very, very different. And here I was more set to task. I got to sit at my desk. I didn't get to do that in No Time to Die. I leaned on a desk before Daniel came in like this, but like Bianca's constantly like obsessing over the articles that she's reading. And
her poor pens. I always feel like poor Bianca's pens are chewed to her. You see all of her anxiety is.
Oh my God, the literally props would be like, do you want this chewed pen or this chewed pen? And I'd be like, that one. Did I chew it or
someone else?
Exactly. Is it a prepped chewed pen or was it mine?
Having to do a rom-com. That's doing a rom-com. I always do such serious stuff, but I think they're hard.
Yeah, I think it's harder than we probably think it is. Yeah. I always I've been dying to do something light for the last 10 years.
Isn't that what you were saying before this?
Yes. Literally, I was like, I'm going to do a comedy. I'm going to do a rom-com or a comedy, straight comedy or a dark comedy, something that's going to make me feel like, I don't know, light within myself. And then,
intense espionage thriller.
Literally, and I was like, that's the one. That's what the universe is calling for me. Rom-com, definitely. I mean, it's just, I love watching them. They're just so, beautiful and